Good evening. I'd like to call the meeting to order, and let's start off with the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Real quickly, as you can see, Councilman O'Hanlon could not be here tonight. He is still under the weather, but he is on the mend, and he sends his regards. So, call to order. Mary Beth?
Councilwoman Albrecht. Here. Councilman Mazzella.
Here.
Councilman Reifenberg.
Here.
Supervisor Delvecchio.
Here.
Town Attorney Emily Swenson.
Here.
All present.
Okay. So, we have receipt and acceptance of the minutes for the workshop meeting, public hearing on 10/3/22, special town board meeting on 10/7/22, and special town board meeting 10/17/22. Do I hear a,
So moved. I'll move to approve.
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So tonight we have a public hearing. I am in receipt of an affidavit of posting pertaining to the 2023 preliminary budget by the town clerk, Mary Beth Muir, dated on October 19th, 2022, and the affidavit of publication by the Northern Dutchess News dated October 19th, 2022. All right. So I make a motion. We open the meeting.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is now open to the public.
Are the speakers on?
Huh?
Are the speakers on?
This is just,
1, 2.
Yeah, okay.
this is just for the budget, though,
This is
correct?
just for the budget.
Just for the budget.
Yeah, just the budget. Yep.
Carol Campbell, 122 Marshall. First, I want to thank Melanie and the supervisor for working so hard on the budget. Having been here and done it, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. I have a few comments that I want to read into the record, and I'm gonna go over these singly according to the account code. The supervisor line, which is A 2020, my comment is about the actual for 2020, which was 128,394, and the preliminary in 2023, it's 178,177. That's 49,000 more. It's an increase in 2 years of 38%. So I bring that up because I think that's a large increase. It's always helpful. I bring them up for comment. I don't expect the board to comment on them, but of course it's always helpful if there's reasons behind that, and I look forward to hearing that. On total buildings, A 1620, the actual in 2021 was $213,185, but the preliminary budget is $316,372. That's the total for the total buildings line. That's an increase of $103,187. In 2 years, that's a 48% increase. I bring that up because it looks like a very large increase to me. In the contingency line, which is A 1990, I see that the actual in 2021 was 0, and used to date in 2022 was $4,620. However, I see in the preliminary there's $75,000 put in that line. My question is, why is it needed? When I was here, the contingency was something that we would fall back on, and I understand that it's nice to have that opportunity, but I like to see the budget a little tighter and not have money in it that we don't need. In the fire protection line, 3410, I see that the actual in 2021 was $1,275, and the modified in 2022 was $14,500, but the preliminary only has $1,500 in there. So you could have moved somebody someplace else, and I'm just pointing it out because that line actually went the other way, okay? I probably have the biggest comments about the total public safety line, A3620. The 2021 actual in that line was $30,186. The preliminary is $106,641. That's an increase of $76,455 in 2 years. In 2 years. That's like a 253% increase. So my question on that is, why? We had a lot of discussion when Gary Beck was here. We talked in length about, you know, what went on there and the amount of money that that cost the town. So my question is, I've heard some rumblings, again, I don't know they're true, about a building inspector full-time and a zoning administrator full-time and maybe clerical staff full-time. If that's the case, I'd like to know the justification for that. I looked at the revenue, and I don't see where the revenue supports this. You're looking at zoning in 2021 actual of $64,512, and the preliminary number is $45,000, and planning in 2021 was 67, but it's 16,000. So my question is, why such a large increase in that line? Again, I look forward to hearing the justifications, if the board has a justification as why that's going on. So as again, I say the actual revenue, I don't believe supports that. I'd like to actually see the number of applications and permits to support this. You know, we are currently in a recession. It's expected to continue through 2023. I don't know that we're gonna have a huge amount of building with what's coming up, so I question those numbers in the budget. The building permit line, it's a similar thing. The actual in 2021 was $177,328. Year-to-date, it's $94,221, but the preliminary number there is $130,000. So year-to-date, that's down $83,000. So again, my questions are the same. I'd like to know why such a large increase. The recreation line, which is A7020, the revenue is basically flat in recreation. And, you know, maybe I'm not looking exactly in the right place for that, but the actual in 2021 was $59,000, and the preliminary for 2023 is $116,870. That's a $57,000 increase. Again, my question is why? The playgrounds, which are A7140, the actual in 2021, 2 years ago, was $93,667. Year-to-date to September 1st, $69,822. So the preliminary is $246. Again, that's a very large increase, and I'm wondering why. I mean, we're not talking about a few $1,000s, we're talking about $153,000. The refuge and garbage, we had an actual of $110,603 in 2021, and our preliminary is $193,000. That's a 76% increase, $60,274. I noticed that the preliminary budget uses $390,000 in general fund and $230,000 in highway. That's $620,000 in our fund balance. I personally am again using that much in fund balance. With inflation and increased electric, fuel oil, gas, food, I think the town board should consider reducing this budget in the places that I mentioned. We have a large fund balance in town, and I know in past years there's been a lot of padding in our budget, which has increased our fund balance. I personally am not in favor of that. I like to see a nice somewhat lean budget that we could work with. I feel that also after looking at the revenues page, I think the predictions are a little low. So I think that there's a possibility with some tweaking of this budget and maybe increase in the revenues, that the board would have an opportunity to give some money back to the taxpayers in Pleasant Valley at a time when they could really use it. Thank you.
Thanks, Carol.
Thank you very much. Anyone else on the budget?
Gary Veter, Saw Point Turnpike, Pleasant Valley. I thank former Supervisor Carroll for offering her review of items of concern. I will not repeat any of them. I think there's no sense of duplicity. There is a considerable fund balance that will be used, I think, to reduce the tax burden. I know the state says that we probably have too much money in our, guess what? They told me that 40 years ago. And they don't ever do anything about it. I like having a large fund balance. I don't like it being used indiscriminately to lower taxes. And along with that, the contingency fund, I don't have the numbers, but the contingency fund, I think it's down to 30,000, is that correct?
Are you talking about the contingency line in the preliminary budget?
Yeah,
I think it's 75,000 right now.
75. That is something that is used quite frequently, and it is useful instead of fund balance. I would rather see money in a contingency item. I know inflation is killing everybody, but there's a lot of houses for sale in Pleasant Valley right now that can't afford to stay here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Anyone else on the budget? Not seeing or hearing anyone else, I move we close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
So we don't have any oral committee reports today. Now we get to open the meeting to the public for all business,
Agenda item.
all agenda items tonight.
So moved.
All
Second.
in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody want to speak
mic's
on any
open.
topic?
Thank you. Mike Cosenza, Chief of the Pleasant Valley Fire Department. Just here this evening to speak to the board regarding the request to increase the hours for Mobile Life or ALS coverage to assist with a little relief on our end from 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday, and from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Saturday and Sunday. I know that we had talked about this before, and I know that we're working towards it, but this is just to kind of reinforce that. Okay.
Thank you.
Was there any questions for me regarding that?
So, is it just because of lack of volunteers? I mean, I don't mean to say it that way, but
Well, I think that's a big part of it, yes. The second part of it is that we have a paramedic that covers from 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. that's covered for years in the town. After hours, it's getting more difficult to get ALS, which is a paramedic,
Yep.
to come to the town to assist our EMTs. So the problem becomes you're getting a different level of care from 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. than you are all other hours.
Gotcha.
So yes, it is harder because we have less EMTs to get out the door, but the other issue is the fact that there's not enough paramedics around anymore to come out and cover and back us up and assist.
Gotcha.
That's the bigger issue.
I gotcha. Mike, when are we joining? I'm kidding.
You're welcome. You're welcome anytime. Anything else? No? Okay. Thank you,
Thank you.
everybody. Have a good
Thanks,
night.
Chief.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Agenda items?
As long as it's not the budget, you're good.
My question, and again, you know, we're asking to open the meeting before I've heard the agenda items, and I'm sure I'm going to get this answer, but I had a lot of conversation with some people in town about authorizing the closure of Quaker Hill Road. I'm sure it's for a function, but I would encourage the board to put something besides authorizing the closure of Quaker Hill Road. When you read that, you think the board's going to close Quaker Hill Road. It would be nice if it said authorizing for Festival of Lights or Halloween party or anything else,
Yeah.
but just like to make a note of that. I've had some people ask me what that might be.
Yes.
Yep.
Get up 2 times early. This is pretty good. One thing I brought up at a previous meeting, I see it on the agenda, is a building for the scout troop that collects the bottles. First of all, it's a lot of work. The bottles now sit there until they come around and do it out in the open. Their service, and I'll call it a service to the town, is much less waste in the compactor, money for them, which it buys equipment, also less money for us because we don't send it to get pay for and get rid of. So I have talked with the supervisor, and it's a minimal amount of money to buy them one of these sheds. The quote I got was $31.50, which is really not much money for what they're doing for us, and would clean up a unsightly condition there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Diane Shield, 95 Pine Hill Road, Wilmarth Troop 55, that this lovely gentleman just spoke about. I just wanted to thank you for even putting us on the agenda. Rory Blackwell, our Scoutmaster, wishes he could be here. He's away for work, so I just wanted to give my appreciation.
Thank you.
you.
Anyone else on agenda items only?
Mary Meyer, Clark Heights. I guess before Mike left, I should have asked the number 9, the release of request for proposal for ambulance service. So they were here like a month ago asking for more money for the ambulance. So how is the budget going to be affected by that? There's no extra money that was put in the budget, like only $30,000.
We gotta wait for a price to come back.
We have to
before we
wait.
can actually
So
answer
should we have
that.
done like a month ago before we got to this part of the budget?
Well, so there is a little.
If I may.
Go ahead. Go ahead. You first. You first.
Okay, so what you do is you take usually a roundabout figure of what they did charge. We did get a price from the current company of what their services are right now, what it would be. That was factored into the budget. So we're basing our budget basically on what they gave us to continue as a service that they already are, which we technically can do anyway. However, because the fire department would like to ask for more time, that would change the outcome of that figure.
Right, well, that's, I was
So
curious.
Now we're going to try to put it out to an RFP to see if we can get those hours covered and see what that price would be.
Gotcha.
It's highly unlikely. So this is an exercise of doing
Gotcha.
due diligence.
Well, I was just calculating, and it'd be, if we were to give them that many more hours, it'd almost be double what it's in the budget right now.
Yeah,
as far as
it's-
hours.
It's higher for sure,
Yeah.
and if they had to add on more people, it would be double, and that's why we would put the RFP out to see if we could get
I
that.
should have told Mike to stay before I asked the question. All right, thank you.
Anyone else? Not seeing or hearing anyone else, I move we close the meeting to the public.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. So we have new business discussions, and we're gonna start with some of the budget things, some of the things that we talked about, you and I.
Yeah, so, we had a couple meetings, and then you presented the supervisor's budget, and then we all kind of went through it line by line, and the board put their input in, and we made some changes, and then we adopted the preliminary budget. But I think there's still, kind of to the point of what some of the residents said tonight is, I think 2023 is probably a year that we need to maybe provide more services, but also tighten our belts a little bit and try to work closer to maybe decreasing the tax rate overall. So I spoke to a bunch of residents over the last couple of weeks, and I'd like to go, and I spoke to our bookkeeper, I've spoken to the supervisor, I've sent an email out to the entire board of my recommendations. So if we can, I'd like to kind of go through what I would recommend and maybe do some motions and see if you guys are on board with any of the changes. So we can make the changes if you guys are on board, and then we can see where we stand and if anybody else has changes. So then next meeting, we can adopt maybe a clean document. So the first one is legislative board under the general government support. That's for the town board. So I make a motion for line item A 1010.4. We currently have it as $5,450. I'd like it to be changed to $4,450.
Second?
And just to explain, so I did the calculation for the four of us to go to New York City to do the Association of Towns.
Right.
Even being super aggressive with the cost of that, we're still have plenty of money in the budget, which is covering schools and conferences. So.
Got a second? All in favor?
Aye. The next line would be A12204. This is under the supervisor's budget. Again, it's so I'll make a motion to modify line item A1220.4, which is currently $6,350, and modify it to $5,150.
Second?
And this is the same thing. This is changing the schools and conferences to be more realistic.
Got a second? All in favor?
Aye. And if I'm going too fast, Mary Beth, just tell me to slow down. Going under buildings and grounds, building CE A1620.4. I'll make a motion to modify A1620.4, which is currently $196,300, and modify that to $186,800.
Second?
It's 1620.4, and it's modified to 186,800.
And the reason?
And that is, in the preliminary budget, it was increased $20,000 for buildings and maintenance. It's already at $30-something thousand, so I didn't see I personally don't feel there's a need for an extra $20,000.
We have a second. I think we have a lot of upkeep and a lot of things that have been breaking. Personally, I would like to see it the same, so We could do a roll
Well,
call.
well,
and I just-
well, really quick, so I think it plays into our conversation later as well with the.
I know
so-
you explained it to me.
That's fine, we could do a roll call, please.
Just do the roll call out.
Yep.
Councilwoman Albrecht.
Aye. Sorry.
Councilman,
time.
myself, I'm
Councilman Mazzella.
Aye.
Councilman Reifenberg.
Aye?
Supervisor Delvecchio.
Nay.
Motion carries.
Okay, line item A1990.4, it's contingency. I make a motion, which is currently at $75,000. I make a motion to move it to modify it to $10,000.
Second.
And my reasoning behind that is tonight, we're going to propose a different reserve fund to transfer fund balance into a reserve fund, which is designed specifically for repairs. So one of the reasons we carry this contingency is if emergencies come up, like the heating and stuff. We have so much money already in a fund balance that I think it would be crazy to take another $75,000 from the residents.
The only thing that I would like to see in the reserve fund is that it's open to just about anything that comes across. It can't be limited to any specific thing. In other words, we have an oil burner that just went out. Who knows that's coming up, right?
Yeah.
So as long as it doesn't limit that. then
Well,
I-
we'll discuss that when we get there, and if the board doesn't feel comfortable with the other thing, we can always go and modify this again. This is just a suggestion for now.
So do we have a second on that yet?
I don't know.
I didn't hear one.
Is there a second?
I already asked.
Oh, yeah, I seconded, yeah.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye. Let's go down to line item A, 8160.2, refuse and garbage. So I'll start with the motion. I motion to make A 8160.2, which is currently $51,800, modify it to $41,800.
Second.
So in the refuse and garbage, we've budgeted to buy a new garbage compactor. Under this line has maintenance for things besides the truck for us hauling. We increased it in the preliminary budget, I think another $10,000 just for maintaining the compactor. My thought process is if we're buying a new compactor, we probably don't need to increase also the maintenance for
This year.
that kind of stuff, even another $10,000 as well. So that's where the 10,000 is off of there. And as long as we buy a compactor, if we don't buy a compactor, we even have more money there, so.
Are you second?
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye. Give me one sec. All right, so talking about revenues, and I'm going to need Melanie after I make a couple changes to verify something, but hold on here. So looking at revenues, we'll start with line A1120. This is the sales tax from Dutchess County. It's currently budgeted for $600,000. I'll make a motion to modify revenue A1120, which is currently $600,000 to $750,000.
second.
And so I spoke to the county this morning, and it's actually awesome because one of the head people there actually is a resident of Pleasant Valley. And I had read an article randomly a couple days ago about how the percentages are all changing because of something the legislator did about 10 years ago that was renewing. So that made me look into it a little bit more, and I called them. And as of March 1st, 2023, there's a new contract. So the numbers are going to all change. So the supervisor of the town of Pauling actually reached out to this person a couple weeks ago, and she put together a spreadsheet basically taking their 2021 numbers, running it what they got paid out from the county under the old formula, and then she ran it with the new formula so they could see what the difference is going to be for 2023. So let me just pull up what she gave me for us. Oh, man. All right, so the reason she has to use 2021 is because obviously 2022, the last payment, I think she said, doesn't come until March of next year. But for 2021, Pleasant Valley took in $943,000-ish in revenue from sales tax. We got 3.8 of the share of all the towns. For this year, we're looking at 3.9, but with the new formula starting March 1st, it's only 3.3% because the calculation for the city of Poughkeepsie and the city of Beacon has changed, and they're going to take a higher percentage of their share. So if the entire year of 2023 was off of the new one, which is much lower, she's estimating that we're going to take in $785,000 in revenue. If you go and you calculate, there's 2 months that are still going to be off of this formula, which is much higher. It ends up coming out to like $850,000. And she says 2021 is fairly reliable in her mind because it kind of had a peak and then it flattened out and kind of died off in 2021, which kind of surprised me, but I believe her more than what I would think. So even with that, if it was 850, we're still being conservative and underestimating by $100,000 for revenue. But it does make a significant difference in the amount of taxes we collect.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's huge.
Thank you.
And one of the things that we've always done is I feel like we've always underestimated the revenue.
We did.
Yeah.
And then we got this big hit, but it was a fluke. 2021 was a kind of a fluke because they didn't anticipate everyone staying home and buying things on Amazon.
So I thought the same thing,
That's
but
what we
I
got.
talked to the lady who runs all the numbers today, and according to her, she feels very confident as a resident of the town that 2021 would be realistic for 2023 from what she's seeing for 2022. So
Interesting.
Okay.
I think the same thing, but
Okay.
I kind of have to
Yeah.
rely on the experts and not really my opinion on that.
Yep.
But again, it's up to the board if you want to change that or not.
I think we just got to vote, right?
Well, when I spoke with Melanie, you want to come to the microphone? You can if he has any questions for you. Are you familiar with this new formula yet that we're not
No, I
privy
have
to
not
yet?
gotten anything from the county yet, so I'm not familiar with it, but I
Not that I doubt. that
right,
it-
I don't,
got it.
I
Yeah,
don't
I mean,
doubt
we made our
Councilman
assessment on
Reifenberg,
what we were.
and he's going to send it to me by email. We talked.
Can we hold off on this?
I
piece
I
until-
personally think we make the change, and if you feel like over the next 2 weeks that you want to change it back, we can do a vote.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it sounds like a good figure.
To be,
That's fine. I
Yeah.
just want to, because there's nothing we discussed
To-
when we went through the whole process. so
Right, but
this
it
is
sounds like
new.
he really, followed up with all the people he needed to and
Okay.
everything. And like I said, I just don't think they got around since the change isn't happening until March. It'd be nice if they let us know
Mm-hmm.
around budget time, but they haven't. Mike,
It is on.
oh, it is on. It says it's on.
Yeah, just
I'm so sorry.
that doesn't light up for her.
Am I not, should I talk into it better?
That's
or-
picking up just fine. It's because where it sits with the
We
speakers.
can't hear it.
Oh,
We
okay.
can't hear it.
Okay, but I think that's probably a very good figure. It sounds like he, Councilman Reifenberg followed up with her. Like I said, I don't know the new formula yet, but it sounds reasonable.
Right, fair enough. We have a second. All in favor?
Aye. While you're up here, just a
Yeah.
quick question. With all of the changes, do you need us to make a motion after I do all the changes to also change the revenue line of the real property tax?
No.
Or are you
because
just
that-
gonna
that'll
input that?
automatically
Okay.
calculate.
I just wanna
Yeah,
make
so
sure
I
you
just
didn't need
need
us.
to- Yeah, all these line by line
Okay.
items, yeah.
I just want to make
exactly.
sure.
Okay,
Thank you, Melanie.
sure, thanks.
So the next line we'll look at is A2110, it's zoning fees. So I'll start with a motion to modify line A2110, which is currently at $45,000 in revenue. I modify it to $50,000 in revenue.
Second.
All in favor? I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Did you want to go into explanation or
No, it's fine.
made sense when you told me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just if if we're increasing staffing and the numbers, I mean, we're already close to that number for the year to date, so.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next one's A2115, planning fees. I make a motion that we modify revenue line A2115, which is currently $16,000, and we modify it to $20,000.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And give me one sec.
Do you want me to I have the last one in front of me if you want.
Okay, so the last one is going to be under it's the last page. It breaks down, if you're looking at your budgets in front of you, it has the tax rate schedule. I forget, I don't have the physical copy. I think it's like page 16, somewhere
Wait.
around there.
There was one change that you emailed me that you didn't talk about yet.
The mortgage tax?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've adjusted that with the actual number. All right, so just to clarify with the board there is one change from the email.
Yep.
So after speaking to the sales tax folks at Dutchess County, one of the changes I had emailed out was upping the mortgage tax and keeping the sales tax actually a little bit lower. If you look at our realistic number that Melanie sent us today, I think 200,000 personally, I feel like that's more of a realistic number than upping that more, especially with
Oh, I got you.
houses not being so aggressively sold. So if somebody wants to change it, we can, but I kind of took that into account.
Okay, thank you.
So, good catch. So on one of the last pages there, it breaks down the appropriations, the revenues, and the fund balance. So I think the fund balance right now for general fund is showing using 390,000, I think. I make a motion to modify that $390,000 to $200,000 from the general fund.
Second?
I think with the projects that we're going into, with building a new building for town hall and taking on water and all of these other things, bonds are going to happen. So to stay under the tax cap and to be realistic in the future, I personally would like to see these numbers only cover one-time cost items. So some of the things that I think Carol brought up, there's money that we've added in the budget to maintain and upgrade some of the parks, which are one-time costs. There's the compactor in there, which is a one-time cost. The highway, we put an extra $100,000 towards paving, which the town realistically has never put money in the last few years towards actually paving. It's come from the state. We also put an extra $25,000, I think, in an inter-transfer fund for future trucks for the highway department. So those are all one-time costs that I'm okay using fund balance for. I personally don't think we should be using fund balance to cover increased salaries and whatnot, because
That well runs.
as we start these projects, we might find ourselves in a corner. So that's why I think $200,000 is better. And with the changes that we've approved so far just now, again, there's the ambulance. There's a lot of moving parts still. The ambulance stuff.
Insurance.
There's potentially insurance items. But just with these changes, we went from, I think, a little bit of an increase to, with this fund balance, negative of 1.86. So I think we're in a much better place, even using a little bit of fund balance.
Much closer.
So,
Okay.
so we need to vote on that if you guys are okay with that.
Oh, yeah, we gotta just vote. Yeah, we got a second, we just gotta vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And that's all I have. And if anybody else has a change.
Again, the only thing I would like to see when we move that contingency is that we have that backup to where it states we can.
Yeah, and we're gonna have a whole discussion on that and make sure that we're all comfortable with it.
Okay. Okay, mill site, funds, somewhere along the line, somewhere, I don't care how we do it, we gotta figure out that we actually put money towards the mill site for cleanup and fix up, and definitely we have to start thinking about protecting our assets with cameras
Yep.
and security, because we already had a great bunch of people came out, fixed up the place, it looked great for Memorial Day, and 2 weeks later, there was vandalism again, and all kinds of trash, and the people fishing don't care to take their stuff and put it 2 feet over at the trash can. We're constantly picking up garbage all over the park. So we really need to start protecting our assets. So somewhere along the line, we should really discuss maybe a one-time payment to fix it up, and then maybe for the next year's budget, something like incremental along the line.
Yeah.
I don't know what your feelings about that. We have a fountain that's gonna be going in. Am I at liberty to say, Mary Beth? Okay, I'll wait. Something else is happening there that needs to be protected as well. So,
This park, though, I have brought this up earlier. This is actually a rec. This is a park.
Yeah.
So shouldn't this whole mill site park be moved into recs and parks? Parks and recs, and then,
In terms of, what do you,
right,
like,
but it's
for
not
the-
actually
for the
being used
future?
by rec, correct?
well, they used to do music in the parks there
Yeah.
before it got too popular. Right.
Right.
Yeah, Sandy, do you mind stepping on the microphone? Sorry to put you on the spot.
Oh, yeah, no, that's okay. Sandy Coe, Rec Director. We did have the music in the park was at the mill site. We moved it down to Katie Field because there's more parking and it's just
More
makes
convenient.
more sense.
Yeah.
I mean, other than that, we haven't had anything there. We possibly could, now that I have somebody new to help out.
So, go ahead.
well, to me, it should all be under one thing. And right now, it's kind of out there floating. So right now, the supervisor is taking care of the mill site park, which really should not be happening.
Right. I
So-
agree.
No, yeah,
This is what
yeah.
I mean, I think that.
Well, here's my.
I hate to overload you.
Yeah, no.
But I just feel that if it's an actual park, which I believe it finally was brought to the conclusion that it is, that it should be put under Recs and
Recreation.
Park, yeah.
If I may. So we've talked a lot about what this town does and does not upkeep since I've been here on the town board. And I know we've had some spirited conversations about what to do in terms of what should be upgraded first and this and that. This may be a good time to have that conversation with the finance committee, maybe to figure out what free money that we can use according to the comptroller, and then create small funds for for the mill site or field or Howe Park or whatever. That way, if something ever happens, let's say something happens where we need to repair something at the mill site, we now have a fund that we could draw from,
Be
and then
able
the
to
town
do it,
board can
yeah.
put money back into that.
Correct.
Like, there shouldn't be this giant fund that we all just kind of scratch our heads at and look at, and, well, how are we going to spend that? Like, we should kind of lay it out so that way we can take care of our things.
Well, that gets to the point if you have this one big pile of money and one big project comes along and eats it all up, and then
But that's so I will.
we don't have anything, I don't mean to.
No, but I will argue that I will say that this town for a long time has thought of all that as a savings account. We're a town. We have to offer services to our taxpayers.
Correct.
We are not a savings account. We should actually give you stuff for the tax dollars that you give to us. So we should really maybe make it an agenda item at our next meeting to really roll up our sleeves and figure out what needs what in this town and maybe allocate some funds for it.
Priority list?
We have the master plan for that, which,
Well, I'm not saying not to, but
Yeah.
what I'm saying is we have to start somewhere, Sandy. Like, we have to create a punch list of here's A, B, and C. Here's like the 3 hot button items that we really need to throw money at this moment in time, and then we could figure out what 4, 5, and 6 is. But we have to start somewhere.
So I think, just stepping back even further from investing in it, is, let's face it, I mean, there was great volunteers that went out in the spring and, fixed up the mill site, and you go out there now and it's
It's a mess.
kind of going back to the direction it was, and what are we going to, as a town, ask the volunteers to go about? So I think the conversation really needs to be, before we start investing money and putting things in funds and whatnot to get the park, whatever we're going to use this money for, I think we as a board need to figure out where's the disconnect here of why the park isn't being maintained currently in the state that it is before we start dumping a bunch more money into it to then fall apart again. So I like the idea of, yeah, let's put money there once we can actually maintain what we're kind of have, but I don't think we've had the conversation of why that stuff's not being maintained and what do we need to do to change that and to make that happen. So before we start putting money in there, I think there's a whole other conversation that needs to
So
happen.
that whole other conversation always reflects back to the two gentlemen that we have here.
I don't think it has anything to do with
Okay,
them.
All right, as long as we're not, it's not.
No,
But it all, but here's the other piece. Because we don't protect our assets or haven't in the past, things get broken, things get vandalized, things go right back to where it was, and it's harder and harder to come back and fix it all back up again. So when we put together whatever package, it has to be thought out all the way to even protect it, so.
And what I'm getting at is I think what we're doing right now isn't working, so we have to have an honest conversation with ourselves of, and I'm not saying it's the employees, I'm saying is the system that we currently have is not working, so we need to figure out how to fix that before we start putting more
Not a
plants in
Right.
and they grow and
think
nobody
that, right.
maintains them. So I think we're just kind of in a circle here, and we really need to have an honest conversation about it.
So one of the things I was going to say, to follow up on my initial piece here, was first, an initial amount of money to clean up properly and not using technically our own people, but hiring the person who actually designed that park and put it all together and put a good number on it, cleaning it all up, and then having it maintained in that manner. Because there are things there that are growing that I couldn't tell you. I've had people tell me you can't pull this out, and I've had people tell me, oh, you could leave that there, that's good. So who knows, unless you're an expert in that field. So,
Well, I've presented to the boards in the past, not necessarily this board, that we should have at least 1 or 2 seasonal workers come in to do the heavy-duty cleanup, and then our maintenance can
just
be
do the
able...
maintain the paint stuff.
Yeah, can do it, and all the other towns do it. LaGrange, Poughkeepsie, they all do it. They just have someone on, a couple of people on during the summer to help get the parks somewhat back to where they should be, and then our staff, our normal maintenance staff, should be able to maintain it at that point.
So
It should be like a 4 seasonal piece to
So
it.
that's my question is let's take out that company that we hire and bring in to get the park all cleaned up in the spring. I mean, we basically did that with residents who stood up and went out there and did that, and now
Hillside, yeah.
it's back to where it was, unfortunately. So I like that idea, and I'm okay with that idea, but we need to have a plan after we send those seasonal people in or the landscaping company in of how do we need to hire more people? I don't know what the answer is because I'm not here every day, but there's obviously a disconnect of when we get it to that point of where we want it to keep it there. And what do we need to do to make that stay where it is? Because it shouldn't look the way it is.
No.
And we shouldn't have to rely on volunteers to
No.
go out there every
Bring
day.
it
I
up, right.
wholeheartedly agree. All right, so I'm going to put that on for the next meeting. Citizen
Thanks,
prepare, I'm sorry, anything
I'd
else?
say thanks, Andy.
Thank you,
That's
Sonny,
awesome.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Citizen preparedness training, November 30th. I'm going to turn this over to the town clerk.
The Dutchess County Department of Emergency Response and the Town of Pleasant Valley invite all participants for the Citizens Preparedness Training. We had this training back in around 2018, and it was quite successful, and we thought it was a good idea to bring it back again. Many people came out that night to hear what this was all about. In this training, you will learn to acquire the tools and resources to better prepare yourself for any type of disaster. You will learn how to respond accordingly in a disaster and recover as quickly as possible to pre-disaster conditions. Each family who comes will receive a free Citizens Preparedness Training Response Starter Kit. This will be held at Town Hall on Wednesday, November 30th at 7 p.m., and all are welcomed.
Okay, thank you very much. Bottle deposit shed for the Scouts was brought up by Mr. Veeder earlier, and He did do some legwork. You all have a black and white copy. If you'd like to see the color copy, I don't think it really, and I don't think the picture shows really the better look to it. I think it's this one up here.
Oh, okay. The utility shed?
So I did get an opportunity to speak with Rory. He's a nice man. And Michael, to one other piece, he's the gentleman I had to call about that bench to remove, and they're okay with that. So we're clear to take that out. But it is a problem up there because they do collect the bottles and put it in an open area. Now, for the summertime, it wasn't too bad. If it rained, which we had no rain, basically, it wasn't that big of a deal. But when we get into these months where it could have a snowstorm, and the pile of bottles and cans that were there and bags and stuff like that, you put a foot of snow on that, it's not going anywhere. So it would be good for these guys to have a shed, the scouts have a shed to put this stuff in and take out when they need to. I'm all for it. I think it's a good thing. I think we should check with our highway superintendent where he would want it, to where it's not inconvenience for him. And that's about it.
What size shed are we looking at? 10 by 12?
It was a 10 by 12, and it went for, down here at the old Hickory barn again thing on 44.
Yep.
They have a price of $3,100. So, something if you guys want to do, I think it's a good thing for the scouts. Again, like Mr. Vita said, they're doing a lot for the town. It cuts down on our compactor, and it would look a lot better and be a lot easier for them. So, any questions, or anybody have any?
I have a couple, so my first thought process was, coming from the place of I'm an Eagle Scout, right? I'm a Boy Scout my entire life. This is something that I feel that they should build. I don't think that we could really honestly use taxpayer dollars to give the Boy Scouts a shed. Look, I'm all for the Scouts. I remember if this was when I was of the era, right, we would have kind of gave them, here you go, build it. Like, go ahead and build it for us. I remember doing my Eagle Scout project. I built Rhinebeck High School four trophy cases because at the time I was on cross country and we had no room to display anything, right? Like they didn't give it to me. I don't know. It's my 2 cents.
Did you ever build a shed?
Me? Yes.
You did?
So,
No.
question. So I'll be honest, I haven't been back to, so when I was in Scouts, we would help out. I was over in Hyde Park, and I would help out with Troop 33. And they had a newspaper, is the newspaper shed still back there? It's a metal thing, so, okay. I just wasn't sure the layout of everything and how everything was going on back there, so, have you sat down and looked at this to see which one is, or anybody from the troop actually looked at this to kind of give their input on?
Not yet, no, this was just investigating.
Okay. So I think, personally for me, I think that we should at least, somebody should approach them and sit down and see what would actually meet their needs. I don't know who wants to do that, but.
So when I spoke with Rory, and I brought the idea to him, he said, yeah, that would be great. He had offered a trailer, I believe he had, but that wasn't exactly a good fix. It would just be a temporary fix. So he was all for.
Like a covered trailer type of?
Yeah, something, horse trailer. Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Kind of move it on wheels, that kind of thing. And that would work, but, you know, a permanent structure would probably be easier for them to get in and out. It's probably safer, too.
So can I ask Emily, with the concerns that Councilman Mazzella has, are we allowed to spend the money to put a shed for the boys, for the Scouts, or?
I don't think it's for the scouts.
It's on
Yeah, I just want to make sure.
it's on town property, right? It's
our shed.
Oh, so,
The
okay.
town would own
Yeah, but
it.
still,
I mean, it's not,
when
we're
they
not
needed-
giving it to someone else.
When they needed
Yeah.
something to put the tractor and stuff like that in up at Saw Point, my son was an Eagle Scout and built that cement building up there at Baker Field. So I know that Troop 33 does those types of, can take on those types of projects. And there's always somebody looking for Eagle Scout. I mean, it could be two of them to build something. They go out and they solicit to get the, you know, the stuff donated, just like he did.
Yeah.
I just want to give 2 cents.
Can I ask a question? Did the requirements for Eagle Scout change?
No,
Okay.
the only difference right now,
I understand. I'm not saying you don't, but
they're a few years away from the Eagle
I got you.
project, and somebody somehow needs something for the bottles and cans now, not 2-3 years from now when they're ready to do that. Maybe there is something to do. Like I'm totally with you that you don't give them, they earn it, but they are providing a service that is helping to decrease the cost of the compactor. So in a way, they are giving us service. Yes, they're taking away money, but they're earning money from it, but they are giving their time to help so that your compactor isn't getting full. So there is something to what they're doing.
I agree.
I'm not saying there's not. The mental hurdle I'm trying to jump over is there probably is boys in your troop that are not from Pleasant Valley that we're going to then use Pleasant Valley taxpayer money to fund a shed for. Like that's the issue that I run into. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And we have one who's in Hyde Park. Everybody else is Pleasant Valley.
Okay. I mean,
Yeah, no, I understand the mental hurdle.
Yeah,
Like, I see, because it looks like you're giving something to them.
But here, Frank, listen, we're not using taxpayer money to give something to the scouts. We're going to use taxpayer money to make a safer situation that's going on in our own compactor and in our own place. So this way, one, it's neater, cleaner. Two, it's safer. And three, how discouraged would a bunch of kids be collecting bottles and cans and stuff like that? And then they bring it to an area that no longer can be used because it's filled with snow and the old bottles and cans that are buried under the snow. This is a simple little thing that really is not that big of a deal. It would help them along. It's not that much.
I'm going to sit.
Thank you.
Is
So we
it-
can look forward, we could actually go a little further here, and this is just touching the iceberg, really, and see if there is some funds or something that can be easily strummed up for the scouts to put together something as quickly as possible, because snow is upon us. And maybe get a different price from a different place if there's another one. I don't know, maybe it's less money, but this is just to
Yeah,
scratch the surface.
I think if we can, between now and the next meeting, maybe at this meeting, figure out who's going to do it and make a plan of meeting with whoever from the troop and sitting down with them with this, and then come back at the next meeting.
I'll take care of it.
You'll do it? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Please.
This perplexes me to no end. It's a simple solution. I measured the site. The corner where the bottles sit now will fit the size that I mentioned in that. It is the economy shed. It is made cheap, $31.50. Really, I mean,
I completely understand what you're saying. I just think that the troop itself should probably be involved with making sure
you
that's...
pass thousands of hundreds of thousands without looking at it. For the kids, you don't.
I'm not against this. I just think that the troop needs to be involved with
Right.
the planning of it, so...
So I did ask the leader of the troop, and he said, absolutely, we want one.
That they want a shed. I want to make sure that between now and the next meeting, somebody has a conversation, has them look at this and make sure that
Okay.
this is, that's all I'm asking.
Okay.
They should be
agree with you.
involved.
Can I just, one quick question? I would like to, Frank, just tell you that this is not something that we were seeking out. It did kind of come to us, which I hands dirty in any way possible to make this happen.
I'm not down. I know Rory. We've actually, when my father passed, my father was a very big Boy Scout leader. We gave him all of our camping equipment. Look, I'm behind you at 110%. I just wear two hats. And I'm just having the struggle with the latter is really where we're at. But I would love you to be part of this conversation.
Okay, any more on the bottle deposit shed for scouts? Moving on. So our next November town board meeting falls in somewhere where I personally wanted to take a time to go down. I purchased some property down south, and I have to go down there and set it up. And I would like to move the meeting either to the 14th or the following week after. But that puts Michael in a different position. And
Yeah, I can't do
can't
it
make
because
either.
I'm not missing another meeting and having somebody come here.
Well, we have Keith to cover the meeting.
I can't make either of them either. I can't make the Monday prior because I have a work commitment. And the following week, we're going away.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
did you want to move the meeting on the 7th or
The
the
21st.
21st?
21st.
Okay, so the
I wanted to
7th
move
we're
it to the
keeping?
14th or the
Okay.
28th.
Just wanted to make sure we had the budget vote in time.
Yeah.
We're good.
All right.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't make either meeting, the 14th or the 28th. Because so,
Okay, so forget that.
I apologize.
No, it's not your fault. Just something I have to do.
Yeah, no, I get it.
All right. Snow ordinance. And the highway superintendent's not here, but he did have something.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
to
probably
read.
that little thing that's on those signs, no? Yeah. you're right here.
November 1st.
Yeah,
You want me to read it?
yeah, read it.
This is from the Highway Superintendent. A friendly reminder, from November 1st through April 15th, local law number 93-2 is in effect, and it states there is no parking allowed on town roads for the purpose of snow and ice removal. Please abide by this law so that we can plow and sand as quickly and as safely as possible. That simple. You just can't park on any town-owned roads between November 1st and April 15th.
All right. So, as you all know, the oil burner at the highway department is burnt out. Done, toast. And we have right now, I believe, two very, very different proposals.
Boy, that's an understatement.
Yeah. I want to try and kick it back to them as quickly as possible to try to get to the same thing. So we've asked for two things. One, which is a replacement of an oil burner as is. And one company gave us a price and the other did not. Then we asked for an oil burner that was converted to gas, which would be cheaper, better, more efficient. And one company gave us a price, and the other company gave us a price of a lesser burner, which doesn't add up to the
The BTUs, yeah?
BTUs. So we have totally two different things here. So I'm gonna ask the one you have in your hand, Fox Air, to give us the same prices for the ones that are actually needed.
I got you. Have you, just as a thought process from somebody that we used to use have you thought about calling AirServe? Because they are also are located in Pleasant Valley.
We called the actual people who deliver the oil that have not responded.
Oh, okay.
We called Fox Air, who we have somewhat of a contract with, which, remember the air conditioner?
Yeah, I got you.
And the other person who helped us out with the air conditioner, but we did not reach out to that person. I could certainly try a third.
I got you. I'll give you James'
That'd be great.
number. Yeah, I'll give you, he
So-
lives on Masson Road.
This is incomplete as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I agree.
So you still want two estimates from each person? You want an
Two
oil
different,
burner
right.
and a
What it would
gas?
cost for conversion,
natural
which would
gas.
be better, right?
Right.
And then one, just to replace what we have, precisely what we have, not what they have in stock.
Okay.
Yep.
So this should really be an RFP, I think. I mean, it doesn't have to be, it's another one of these things that doesn't have to go out to a formal bid, but if you have a written RFP, then you'll get the same,
You'll get
everyone will be
apples to
bidding on the
apples.
same.
Yeah.
Right, so
thing.
this is basically, the superintendent took it upon himself to go out and get prices. All
Right.
So, yeah, and we'll probably have to go and do this on an RFP because where it sits. Because we had no idea what it would cost at that time. Would
Yeah.
it be $4,000?
Sure.
Would it be
Right.
$18,000, right? So, yeah, this is incomplete. We put it on just to let you all be aware that this has got to be fast.
So
We're getting
can,
come up.
can I make a motion that if we just, that the highway superintendent wants to send this out to get this going, that we authorize
Yes.
the whole RFP process for this?
Yeah, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, this is where we're going to go back to what you were talking about, correct? All right, establishing a repair reserve fund.
Yeah, so the contingency in the budget, speaking to the bookkeeper, one of the big reasons for it is, let's say something like this happens where the furnace blows up and we need to spend $15,000. Obviously, we have to have some contingency plan to pay for stuff like that we really can't plan for. So Melanie pulled this right out that there's a repair reserve fund that we could set up. And I'll just read through some kind of highlights. So the purpose of it, basically, the idea is to set up another fund like we have all the different funds now, like the capital reserve and stuff like that. But the purpose of this one would be to pay for certain repairs to capital improvements or equipment, and the type of repairs must not recur annually or at shorter intervals. So like a furnace blowing up or the AC unit not working, those aren't annual. We're not replacing furnaces hopefully every year. So it's for stuff like that. Painting this room. Basically, we're allowed to create it. And then basically what it does is, one of the issues and why the contingency line's in there is that it allows the supervisor and the board to pull money if needed to do things without opening it up to a referendum. What this would allow is for us to, instead of taxing the residents even more money, when we have a fairly good fund balance, is to take and transfer money from our fund balance into this repair reserve fund. And I think Emily's going to speak more of if that requires a referendum. But even if it did, we have the time on our side right now, because we don't have an emergency, to allow it to go through the referendum process. And then once the money's in there, there's two ways to use it. Basically, we can... Basically, a resolution would have to be passed to appropriate the money towards some repair, towards a capital. But part of that is we have to put a public hearing with at least 5 days after us passing that resolution. So, for example, let's say we wanted to paint the whole town hall as a repair. We would pass a resolution saying we set a public hearing for the next meeting to repaint the town hall. People can then come and voice their opinions, and we can listen and decide if the residents are for it or not, and then we would pass a resolution to actually do it or just not do it. But there's also a clause to allow for emergencies. Basically, let's say the furnace blows, we would have a special meeting. We can just pass by 2/3 vote, and you could just go out and get the furnace fixed. But the way I'm reading it is then we would have to refund half of it back into the reserve fund the following year, and then the year after that we would have to put the other half back in. So we would have to pay it back because the public wasn't involved in the public hearing portion of it. So basically, we were creating a contingency for repairs that we have to do anyway. But instead of pulling more money from the residents, we'll just take and fund this initially from our fund balance. And I think this is probably, to me, a more conservative way of holding money for those things. And on the flip side of that is I think it will kind of require the town to think about things when it comes to repairing things and to seek for input from the residents and department heads to maybe, because a contingency, honestly, that makes it very easy for us to just say, oh, let's go do this project. We'll just pull it from contingency. And it might make our bookkeeper's life a little bit easier if we're not constantly doing that. So I'm just putting it out there that maybe at the next meeting, if you guys are all okay with it, that we maybe open this reserve fund and then maybe talk tonight about, if you guys are okay with that, how much we would initially fund it with from the general fund.
My only problem is leaving the the contingency fund so low because of the price of everything so far. For instance, just right now, the next one's the roof is leaking over the zoning department. We have to fix it. Now, that could be anywhere between
The roof,
10,000 to whatever, who knows?
I'm gonna stop you for a second. Last year, under Supervisor Szynski, there was a roof leak, I think, in this room. And it was warranted for life because of the company that did it, so you should just
We
get it.
should,
from- yeah.
right, I'm just saying, but let's say, I'm just using that as an example. Or the oil burner is, we got quotes here for, the lowest one was 15, next one's 18. If that happens in the dead of winter, that's an emergency. Now you're talking about,
And we have a process to deal with that.
well, yeah, but it's still a long process. It doesn't happen right away.
No, I mean,
Well,
it's,
technically speaking, we'd still have to,
yeah.
for
No,
the amount of money, we'd have to follow procurement and everything else.
Stop, everyone stop, listen to the whole thing. If you had an oil burner break in the middle of the winter by going 5 days for a public hearing, we'd have to wait to 5 days.
hold on, I'm going to stop you there. So
Hold on.
there's a
There's
whole
the-
nother clause for an emergency that you seem to miss.
That, yeah, you said that we have to have a special meeting on, getting a special meeting together right away, okay? Getting prices, all that stuff has to be done like ASAP.
We would still have to get prices, though, John.
Yeah, it doesn't change anything.
We'd still, the RFP process is still a process we'd have to follow.
I understand that, but you can get people working on something and fixing something in the meantime without it. It just seems to me it's depleted down a little too low because one thing can eat it all up and then we're stuck with this one thing.
So
That's
let me
the only thing.
let me use your example. Let's say the furnace blows right now, or let's say tonight in the middle of the night you walk in and it's freezing in here, and let's say we already had this reserve fund. Our contingency right now, I believe, is I don't know if it would cover a new furnace right now because we've been drawing for other things. But let's say you walked in tomorrow morning and the furnace was blown out. Either way, with a contingency line or not, you're going to have to call a bunch of people up. They're going to come here. They're going to have to give you a quote. If that happened, you would literally call a special meeting for only 3 of us, if it needed to be, to come in here and say, yes, you can go and do it while you're starting the whole process. And then the taxpayers have already put a whole bunch of money into a fund balance. All I'm saying is we shouldn't keep taking extra money to cover things like that when we have plenty of money sitting in a fund balance that we all agree needs to go into different funds. And I think it's really honestly poor planning that we don't have this fund set up.
Okay?
Can I just make a couple of notes? One, I think, as everything that you explained was right, Councilman Reifenberg, and going through the law. I did want to point out a couple of things. One is that you do need to make a budgetary appropriation to put the money into it in the first place. And I think really the beauty of it is that if you put some in each year, then you'll end up with a fund that, when you don't use it, carries over from year to year. So you're not budgeting the whole 75,000 every year if you don't end up needing that much. If you put it into this fund, then it carries over from year to year. So, I mean, as one thought, maybe you want to do kind of I don't want to make a suggestion to you, but I was just thinking you could do a partial solution this year where you have some in the contingency and put some into this capital reserve fund, and then next year, you'll start to build up the capital reserve fund, would be one thought. Another thing I just wanted to point out, so in the case of an emergency, that is correct that you don't need to do the public hearing. You can go through the process without the public hearing, as long as that you repay the funds in the next 2 fiscal years. But it is, in the emergency, you need to have a resolution approved by not less than 2/3 of the board. And I think for a 5-person board, check my math, but I think that's 4 votes. Three-fifths
doesn't
wouldn't
count.
be
So you need 4.
2/3. So just to make note of that. But yeah, and then aside from that, like you said, these could be for any repairs of capital improvements or equipment, as long as they're not things that recur annually or less. And there isn't any referendum involved in setting it up. You just have to make the budgetary appropriation to put money into it.
Can I just ask more about that part of it? So can we not take, because where I was looking is further, the second sentence there, transfers from unexpended balances of existing appropriations or surplus monies. So can we not take it from paid into any other fund or account? So can we not take it from the fund balance when we initially set this up?
Yeah. Or such revenues as are not required by law to be paid into any other fund or account. I don't know, maybe Melanie has a thought on that? Okay, and it wouldn't need to be reflected in the budget at all then? No. Okay.
You can just make a resolution to move it.
To move it? Okay.
I mean, I guess either
Okay,
way,
okay.
even if you wanted to up, if we wanted to up the contingency next,
I just think that's a little low. That's all. I've already seen things that have just broken in before our very eyes. It just eats it up right real quick.
so we can make that modification if you want to do that back to the budget, but are you okay opening, like, I guess the question is can we have Emily for the next meeting, put a resolution together to create this fund and to fund it?
Yeah, we'll fund it before the first of the year, so that
Like,
way
I
we'll
mean,
have
and
it
then
for
if
next
you,
year.
if we want to.
That's fine.
If we
I
want to
think it's a
change,
good idea, again, but I just think that the total move was just a little extreme, that's all. That was my only, the numbers.
so are you okay with her? Because
Yeah,
we
I have
can,
no
we can always
problem.
adjust that. That's, it's,
When you do want to use the contingency, you still have to
we still have to do a budget modification. It's
right?
not like an
So,
overnight thing,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not that much different really than,
except we're just not taking money from the residents because we're using money that we already have.
Right.
Because if I add 75,000
Taking new
back
money-
into the budget, the
taking
tax
new
rate
money
goes
from
up.
the residents,
Yeah.
correct.
We already have the money to do this.
Right.
That's what I'm trying to alleviate, is taking more money from the
Right.
residents. So I'll make a motion to allow Emily to
Create a resolution.
create a resolution to open a repair reserve fund.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye. And then do we want to have a quick discussion of how much we want to initially transfer into it? Because,
Why don't you, as the finance, so my recommendation would be that the finance committee gives us a number based off of what we have.
so are you okay with her writing a resolution with a blank and we can figure that out?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Okay, and the next point was the roof leaking, and I did hear that there is a,
Vanguard Roofing is the company.
yep, and I'm gonna check and see our warranty.
Yeah. According to, and again, the prior supervisor, so take that with what grain of salt you will.
Yeah.
It was a lifetime warranty, so, and they
Okay.
fixed something in this room, so.
All right, perfect. All right. Resolutions. The fun part. All right. Town Board Resolution number 10011, 2022, authorizing payment of abstract number 10-2 of 2022. Whereas the Town of Pleasant Valley Town Board has audited the bills presented by the town clerk, and an abstract has been compiled, now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board hereby authorizes the Town Supervisor to pay all claims as follows. Abstract 10 of 2022, general fund claims, $4,826.32.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
is this supposed to have more numbers?
No,
No, we
we
already
paid
did
them
it.
already. We did a
paid
special meeting
those.
for that. I asked the same question.
They're just on the
They're on-
template
yeah.
all the time almost.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Town Board Resolution Number 10012, 2022, authorizing payment of abstract number 10P-2 of 2022. Whereas Town of Pleasant Valley Town Board has ordered the bills presented for council escrow fees and specified the town code 82-15, 98-91, et cetera, by the town clerk, and an abstract has been compiled. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby authorizes town supervisor to pay all claims. Abstract 10P-2 of 2022, planning and zoning escrow of funds of $530.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 1013, 2022, budget modification for 2022 general fund. Whereas the Town Board of Town Pleasant Valley has an expenditure revenue for 2022 adopted budget line items that will adjust the amounts in such budget lines. Whereas the department head finds it necessary to amend the 2022 adopted budget to meet these adjustments for planning escrow trip. And resolved that the Town Board of the Town Pleasant Valley hereby authorizes and empowers and directs the bookkeeper of the Town Supervisor to modify the 2022 adopted budget as follows. Appropriation, account A, 1420419, Planning Board escrow attorney, increase $2,295.80. Account A, 1440.419, Planning Board escrow engineer, increase $9,382.76. Revenue account A, 2115419, Department of Planning Board escrow, increase $11,678.56.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 10014, 2022, amending the 2022 general fund budget. Whereas the Town Board of Town of Pleasant Valley has an expenditure and revenue for the 2022 adopted budget line items that will adjust the amounts in such budget lines, and whereas the Town Supervisor finds it necessary to amend the 2022 adopted budget to meet these adjustments, and resolved, the Town Board of Town of Pleasant Valley hereby authorizes, empowers, and directs the Town Supervisor to amend the 2022 adopted budget as follows. Account number A1910-400, insurance flood, increase at $7,000. Account A6410.400, publicity meeting ads, increase $1,000. Account A1110-415, supplies for the court, increase $1,000. Account A1110-200, equipment, court vests, increase $9,000. Account A, did I do that? Yep, I got it. A1410.415, supplies, town clerk, increase $20. Account A1620.499, miscellaneous help wanted ads, increase $600. Account A1120, department sales tax, increase $7,000. Account A.2544, dog license, increase $1,620. Account A2610, fines and forfeited, increase $10,000. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Is that the rain?
Town Board Resolution 10015, 2022, Budget Modification 2022 General Fund. Whereas Town Board of Town of Pleasant Valley has an expenditure revenue for the 2022 adopted budget line items that will adjust the amounts in such budget lines. And whereas the department head finds it necessary to amend the 2022 adopted budget to meet these adjustments for the hometown heroes. And resolved, the Town Board of Town of Pleasant Valley hereby authorizes, empowers, and directs the bookkeeper and the town supervisor to modify the 2022 adopted budget as follows. Appropriation, account A7989.301, Department Hometown Heroes, increase $3,040.32. Revenue account A2089.301, Department Hometown Heroes, increase $3,040.32.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Look who's here. And you know what? I totally forgot. Why don't you remind me?
I know.
Yeah,
I-
you want to do hers now?
Yeah, because I'd love to take a break from these. Which one's that one?
Here, I got it right here. You can take this one.
Do it, read it.
All right, I'll read it. I got you.
I am so
Town Board Resolution Number 10,019 of
So sorry.
2022, appointment of the Town of Pleasant Valley Assistant Recreation Director. Whereas Dutchess County Department of Human Resources classified for the Town of Pleasant Valley the competitive class position of Assistant Recreation Director, and whereas Dutchess County does not have a classified list of candidates for the position of Assistant Rec Director, and whereas there currently exists a vacancy for the position of Assistant Recreation Director full-time, and whereas the Town Board of the Town of Pleasant Valley wishes to provisionally appoint Nicole Santos to the position of Assistant Rec Director full-time, now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Pleasant Valley appoints Nicole Santos on a provisional basis to the position of full-time Assistant Rec Director at the pay rate of $17.25 an hour, up to 35 hours a week, commencing October 24th, 2022, and be it further resolved that the Town Board instructs the Town Supervisor and the Town Bookkeeper to complete any paperwork necessary for this appointment. And I'll make that motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sorry
set.
about that.
Thank
I-
you.
know, I started
Sorry about
rolling.
that. We meant to do that in the beginning, but we got it got into a weird. Yeah, sorry about that.
And welcome.
Yes.
Now back to the boring stuff. You're free to go.
You're welcome.
All right, Town Board Resolution 100162022, Budget Modification 2022 General Fund. Whereas Town Board of Town of Pleasant Valley has an expenditure revenue for the 2022 adopted budget line items that will adjust the amounts in such budget lines. And whereas the department head finds it necessary to amend the 2022 adopted budget to meet these adjustments for the senior trip. And be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Pleasant Valley hereby authorizes, empowers, and direct the bookkeeper of the Town Supervisor to modify the 2022 adopted budget as follows. Appropriation Account A, 7989.302, Department Adult Recreation, increase $738.50. Revenue Account A, 2089000, Department Adult Recreation, increase $738.50.
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 100172022, Budget Modification 22, General Fund. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Pleasant Valley has an expenditure for the 2022 adopted budget line items that will adjust the amounts in such budget lines. As whereas the Town Supervisor finds it necessary to amend the 2022 adopted budget to meet these adjustments, and be it resolved that Town Board of Pleasant Valley hereby authorizes, empowers, and directs the bookkeeper and the supervisor to modify the 2022 adopted budget as follows. Appropriation Account A, .1620.429, Department of General Repair and Maintenance, increase $13,000. Account A, .1410.200, Equipment, Town Clerk, $110. Account A, 3410.100, Fire Inspector, decrease $13,000. Account A, 1410420, Software, Town Clerk, $110. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 10018-2022, Budget Modification. Whereas Town Board of Pleasant Valley has expenditure for the town, well, same lines over and over, 2022 adopted budget line that will adjust the amounts in such budget lines. And whereas the Town Supervisor finds it necessary to amend the 2022 adopted budget to meet these adjustments. Resolved, the Town Board and Town of Pleasant Valley hereby authorizes, empowers, directs the bookkeeper and the Town Supervisor to modify the 2022 adopted budget as follows. Appropriation from the account D, A, .5110-8483, Department Sealer Stone, decrease $20,000. account DA.5130.483, department equipment repairs, increase $20,000.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Right, you got through those.
We did this one?
No, I mean,
No.
you got through those.
Yeah. Now these are the fun ones.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Town Board Resolution 10-10020, authorizing release of request for proposals for ambulance service. Whereas Town of Pleasant Valley contracts for the provision of ambulance service within Pleasant Valley Fire District area. And whereas because an ambulance service is a professional service and formal bidding process is not required, but the town board wishes to review options for service providers, and whereas the town attorney and the town has drafted an RFP describing the requested services and inviting proposals for the years 2023 to 2024. Now therefore be resolved that the town board authorizes the release of the attached RFP for ambulance services. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I apparently made an error on this that we just need to correct.
Okay.
Sorry. The,
On the actual RFP?
on the actual
Yes.
RFP,
Okay.
I believe what was stated earlier in the meeting was that the Saturday and Sunday
Yeah.
hours that the fire department wants are 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Correct.
Yes,
Not 5 a.m. to 5
So we
p.m.?
just need to,
just for Saturday and
for
Sunday.
Saturday,
Yep,
Sunday.
Yep. I gotcha. Okay. Yeah, so I'll make a motion that we amend the RFP for option 2, Saturday and Sunday, to go to 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Second.
He beat you.
Okay. Doesn't matter.
And as far
All in
as.
favor? Oh, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
sorry.
Aye.
Go ahead.
Aye.
That's what I was just gonna say.
Yeah, oh, so we gotta create a
The
date, yeah.
date.
So we're putting this out today.
So I think that, my understanding is there are only like 3 companies that
Yes,
do
there is
this.
only
So you just need to send it to those 3.
Yeah.
You don't need to advertise it or anything, so you
This-
can
This can go to them directly. In fact,
put a short
I
date on
already
it.
called one other one. There's only one more to go.
Yeah.
So this could be done, you know.
So do we wanna put it, do we wanna give them a week? Do we wanna put
Yeah, let's do it till
October
next-
31st? Or do you wanna go till November 2nd? That way we could plug the numbers into our budget, and then we could vote on it on the 7th. Does that make sense?
Let's go to
Let's go to
November
November 2nd. We'll give them a week and a half. So 11/2, November 2nd. So I'll make that motion that we amend the RFP for proposals to be accepted until November 2nd, 2022.
Yep.
12 noon.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Oh, so you
It's here.
Oh, then we got to vote on the resolution as a whole.
And then, for the resolution as a whole, we have a second already, don't we?
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, Town Board Resolution 100212022, establishing the rates for the adult volleyball. Whereas the Town of Pleasant Valley Recreation intends to operate an adult volleyball program, and whereas the Town Board of Pleasant Valley intends to operate the adult volleyball program for 1 night a week for a 10-week session, therefore be resolved that the Town Board and the Town of Pleasant Valley hereby establishes tuition rates for the Pleasant Valley Adult Volleyball Program as follows: $25 per session for Pleasant Valley residents, $30 for session for non-Pleasant Valley residents, $15 per diem for Pleasant Valley residents, and $20 per diem for non-Pleasant Valley residents. And therefore, further be resolved that this is effective until further changed or modified by the town board.
So
Do I hear a
moved.
motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 10022-2022, adopting a local law establishing a new Chapter 96 of the Town Code regulating grass maintenance. I am going to give this to Emily. You can read
Okay.
it.
My lucky day.
Legal is all yours.
Whereas the town board has determined that it is appropriate to add a new chapter to the town code to provide standards and remedies for the maintenance of lawns at vacant and abandoned properties. And whereas by Resolution 8011/2022, the town board accepted proposed local law C of 2022, which would create a new Chapter 96 of the town code for grass maintenance. And whereas by the same resolution, the town board determined that the proposed local law is a type 2, that should say action pursuant to seeker, it's just a typo, and does not require environmental review. And whereas the town board held a public hearing on proposed local law C on September 19th, 2022, and closed the hearing on the same day. And whereas, as a result of public comment, the town board requested that the attorney to the town make minor modifications to proposed local law C. And whereas a revised version of the law labeled Proposed Local Law C of 2022, print number 2, was sent by email to all town board members on October 13th, 2022. And whereas, because the modifications were not substantial, the town board determines that there is no need to hold an additional public hearing. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby adopts proposed local law C of 2022 entitled A Local Law Establishing Chapter 96 of the Town Code Regulating Grass Maintenance at Vacant and Abandoned Properties. And it is further resolved that the town clerk is hereby directed to file said local law in the office of the Department of State as required by law.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
There's the local law. Okay, that's done. Town board, what time is it? We're doing pretty good.
We're 8:30.
We're doing pretty good.
We're hanging in. I mean, it's been a
Town
long
board
meeting.
Town board resolution number 10, 10023/2022. I'm going to let Emily read this one again. Go ahead, you wrote it, you can read it.
Okay. Do you want to change something? Okay. So we do have a couple blanks we need to fill in on this one also. Resolution clarifying the role and membership of the Recreation Committee. Whereas the town board appreciates the work of the town's Recreation Committee and wishes to clarify the committee's role and membership. And whereas by Resolution 57/2012, the town board established the Recreation Committee and declared that the committee be an advisory committee only. And whereas Resolution 57/2012 stated that the committee shall make recommendations to the town board with respect to the equipment, operation, and maintenance of town playgrounds, parks, and recreation center, and shall perform such other related duties as may be reasonably referred to it by the town board. And whereas Resolution 57/2012 set a membership of 5 members with one term to expire each year. And whereas Resolution 57/2012 stated that the town board shall annually appoint a chairperson of the Recreation Committee. And whereas last year by Resolution 2108/2021, the town board reformed the committee and reestablished the terms of 5 members. And whereas 2 of the terms set by Resolution 2108/2021 are still active, Angel Abreu's term runs through December 31st, 2025, and Monica Meddy's term runs through December 31st, 2023. And whereas by Resolution 1044/2022, the town board appointed Allison Squires to a term expiring December 31st, 2027. And whereas by Resolution 9016/2022, the town board appointed Jean Curley to a term expiring December 31st, 2026. And whereas a town board member has at times served as a member of the committee but would be more appropriately classified as a liaison to the committee, now therefore be it resolved that the town board reaffirms the following members of the committee. Monica Meddy, term expires December 31st, 2023. There's a vacant position expiring December 31st, 2024. Angel Abreu, December 31st, 2025. Jean Curley, December 31st, 2026. Allison Squires, December 31st, 2027. And be it further resolved that the town board names blank as chair of the committee for the year 2022. You're supposed to name a chair each year, so who should?
I'll have to let you know that.
Oh, okay, so we can cross that part out for now?
Yeah.
Or maybe just do it for next year
Well,
at this
we
point.
could do it for next year at this
Yeah.
point. I mean, we're so close
Well,
into the
that's
year. I mean,
Yeah.
like, right?
And resolved that the town board recognizes Councilwoman Mary Albrecht as the town board liaison to the Recreation Committee for the year 2022. And be it further resolved that the town board authorizes whomever you'd like to fill in the blank to advertise for applicants for the vacant committee position with a term ending December 31st, 2024.
So we can talk about it, I'll make a motion.
Second?
I would say the town clerk would go in that blank, yes?
Which
I
one?
wasn't sure
Which one?
because I know
The
that,
second one.
to advertise before.
Town board authorizes the town clerk to advertise. Yes, she should be the town clerk,
Okay.
right?
Okay, so let's put, I'll make a motion that we put town clerk in the second blank,
Second?
and that we strike the
All in
first
favor?
removed.
Oh,
Resolved.
Resolve, sorry. Sorry.
We got a second. All in
Second,
favor of
yep.
that?
Aye.
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 And then we gotta vote on the resolution as a whole.
And then we had a second on that. All in favor of the resolution?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Town Board Resolution 10024-2022, authorizing establishment of New York class account for American Rescue Plan Act funds. That's our ARPA money. Whereas the town of Pleasant Valley has received coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds, SLFRF, as part of the American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA, and whereas the town board finds it in its best interest of the town to move the funds to an account with New York Cooperative Liquid Asset Security System, New York class, to earn higher return until the funds are used. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board authorizes the town supervisor to open a new account with New York class and transfer the ARPA funds totaling $993,870, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
$993,871.69 into the New York class account.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Well, before you vote, you'll be able to do this before the next interest payment?
No, not this week, Kate.
Okay.
Maybe the next one. I'll try and get it done as soon as I can, but I don't know whether
Yeah, that's the only thing, because that dollar figure will change at the end of the month.
I'm going to get a little bit of interest from Chase.
Where we are, right, okay.
Yeah, so just know that, is that okay if the amount changes a little bit? Can you say there or
Should
about?
I amend this to just say it?
At the time,
And whatever. and
Or at the time?
Plus interest.
All right, so I'll make a motion that we add, just post the dollar figure plus any accrued interest for the month of October.
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Town Board Resolution 10025-2022, authorizing the town supervisor to execute an agreement with Drescher and Malicki, is that right? Malicki, yep, LLP for 2021 audits. Whereas the town board wishes to conduct an audit of the financial statements for the year ended December 31st, 2021, and whereas because the firm has conducted audits in the past, is unable to provide that service, the bookkeeper solicited proposals from other auditing firms, and whereas the town board has reviewed those proposals and determined that the proposal from Drescher and Malicki LLP is the best suited to the town's needs. Whereas Drescher and Malicki LLP has provided an engagement letter dated October 17, 2022, detailing the services they will provide at a cost not to exceed $29,500 for the audit, plus $3,000 each for the town clerk and tax receiver audits. Now therefore be resolved that the town supervisor is hereby authorized to execute an agreement with Drescher and Malicki LLP to perform the audit for the year of 2021 pursuant to the terms in Drescher and Malicki's October 17, 2022 engagement letter for a total not to exceed $35,500.
So moved.
Do I hear a
Second?
second.
Mike seconded.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Agreement. And then if Carol had stayed around, she'd find out why we're closing Quaker Hill Road. So that's usually how it works. Carol, just to let you know, we give you the title, we explain it to you when you get here. Town Board Resolution Number 10026, 2022, authorizing the closure of Quaker Hill Road. Whereas the town of Pleasant Valley will be hosting the Pleasant Valley Festival Lights on December 3rd, 2022, and whereas the Pleasant Valley Recreation Department has requested the closure of Quaker Hill Road during the time of its event with the concurrence of the Highway Superintendent and Fire Department for public safety reasons. And whereas the Town Board of Town of Pleasant Valley has the authority to close highways in the Town of Pleasant Valley to allow for public assembly pursuant to Vehicle and Traffic Law 16606, now therefore be it resolved that pursuant to the Vehicle and Traffic Law 1666, the Town Board of Town of Pleasant Valley hereby directs that Quaker Hill Road shall be closed except to Quaker Hill residents, and there should be no street parking from 4:30 p.m. through 8 o'clock p.m. on Saturday, December 3rd, 2021 for the Festival of Lights, and be it further resolved that the copy of this resolution be sent to the Pleasant Valley Recreation Department and the Pleasant Valley Fire District and the Dutchess County Sheriff's Office of the New York State and the New York State Police and the Superintendent of Highways.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. I'll make a motion to allow the discussion of HRA for employee health benefits on the agenda.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Just a quick point of order, though. It has to be unanimous, though, doesn't it? But what does it mean? Because Keith's not here.
Unanimous was here.
Unanimous of
Oh,
who's
I
here,
got
I
you.
think,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I think this was Melanie, wasn't it?
Yeah, so we're going to bring Melanie back up, right?
Yeah, I have it if you want it.
Didn't realize. Yeah, so, the HRA has increased this year. No, I wish I bought my own stuff, but that's okay. So with the HRA, the contract, for, it has gone up, along with the rates for the health insurance. We had figured the budget at 12%, and luckily, because that's what MVP had asked for the state, and we found out that the state approved them for 5.79. But with that, they did increase the HRA rates to, I believe it was 2,500, Michael, for a single?
Yeah, 2,500 for a single and 5,000
for a family, right.
for deductible, yeah.
So with the union, it's pretty cut and dry. I sent you all a page from the union contract that we only go up to 2,000 on a single and then 50% of whatever the difference is. But what we don't have in our handbook is how much we do for the general employees, general fund employees in the handbook. There's no mention of it in the HRA.
Can I just ask you about the, I know the non-union is not in the handbook, but the retiree, is that 80% mark in the handbook? And is that 80% of what the total deductible is, or?
Right, yeah, for the.
So that's where
yeah.
you're getting that. So the total deductible for a single is 2,500. So the retiree would get 2,000. Okay.
So, are we supposed to?
So
Yeah,
basically,
that's
it's how much do you think we should
Yeah.
fund the general employees? It's always been at 100%,
No,
the last
I
few
don't.
years,
My
I could say.
personal opinion is I don't know any company that pays all of that for the most part. I think it should stay at what it is.
So the union, what you sent out today, this year, the HRA is funded 2,100 or 4,200 for a single or a family. And then the contract requires us to go to singles up to 2,250 and families up to 4,500. And then that's still obviously not funding, but the whole deductible. But what happened is there was a difference between the non-union and the union at some point. So the union members have gotten less than the deductible into their HRAs. So, I mean, I kind of agree is that I don't know if there's really any residents in our town that pay zero for their health insurance and get complete HRA funded. I mean, I don't know where the difference came from, but I mean, if you're going to up the union to 2250 and 4500, I think we at least need to up the non-union to the exact same, and then every employee in town is.
Yeah, if we had to do that, but we're not going to do that. Because that would have to reopen the whole contract, right?
No.
No. He's saying just for the general employees. He says,
yeah,
why don't
I'm
we
just
model
saying
the
just
general
make everybody
employees
the
the same as
same.
the
Right,
union?
right.
This way, the general employees would still be kicking in some money towards there, and it would be the same as whether you were union or not union.
So basically, the union's got, no matter what, we don't have a choice. It's going to be 2250 and 4500. What I'm saying, instead of bringing non-union members up to 100% of their deductible, we just bring them up to the 2250 and 4500, and then every employee for the town on health insurance gets the exact same benefit.
I was hearing it the other way.
Yeah.
And I was getting a little nervous.
Yeah.
Except for, obviously, the retiree would have to stay at the 80%, which would be the 2000.
Right.
Right.
I don't know what everybody else thinks.
I'm okay with that. Anybody else down this way?
That's the union.
Then everybody
what
would
I'm
be the
rec-
same.
Yeah.
So are you guys okay with that? So I'll make a motion that, do you need a motion for that?
Yeah, I believe so, Emily. Wouldn't we need a motion so that on the
Well, you're
floor?
gonna need to change it in the budget, right?
Yeah.
So-
Well,
Yeah, but
already-
it'll change, but it's going to go down. We don't actually have to change it in the budget. I mean, it's just,
Yeah, well, why don't you do a motion?
All right,
to
so I'll make
document
a
the decision?
motion
Yeah.
that union members will get for the fund for 2023, the single plan will get 2250 into their HRA, families will get 4500 into their HRA, and then for non-union members, singles would get 2250 into their HRA, and families would get 4500 in HRA, and then our retiree at the 80% would get 2000 into HRA.
All in favor?
Aye.
okay, very good, thank you.
Okay. RFP proposals for gravel and topsoil delivered to Helen Aldrich.
I make a motion to allow it on the agenda.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so, pretty much, everything is ready to go, right, Sandy, except we have to get people with the topsoil, correct, on this whole thing?
No, that's in here.
No, it's in there. There's topsoil and there's bank run, 140 of each.
So I guess that's my question, looking at these. Were these ones for the
This is-
delivering of them and then the,
First two are, the way mine are, the first two are for the site work.
the first three?
We did two separate RFPs, and one RFP was for the site work, and you have two quotes in here, $1,400 a day
And 12.
and $1,200 a day.
For the site work.
For the site work. And then the second RFP was for both bank run gravel and topsoil, and it looks like you only have one proposal for that.
And that was Mashburn and excavating?
No, that's.
Snow Fountain.
Snow
Yeah.
Fountain gave us the price for the 140 yards of topsoil and the 140 yards of
Okay.
bank run for, you know,
3,500.
3,500 and then 5,600 for the topsoil.
Okay.
What I have been told is that this should take a week.
All
I
of
was
it.
to all of it. 3,500 tons of material moved from Peckham to Helen Aldridge, and
from Snow
the
Fountain.
280 total yards of bank run and topsoil. It should take 1 week.
Okay.
Okay.
So we need to,
We need to decide who's going to do the work.
Well, so if we have to go with the lowest bid, we
Yeah,
would have to go with Brady Excavating, right?
yes.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion that we award
Yep.
the transportation to Brady Excavation.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Are we gonna also vote to award the bid to Snow Fountain?
Yes.
Right,
that's
so I'll
the-
make a motion that we award Snow Fountain the bid for the bank run and the topsoil.
Now, do we have to do a motion to do this? Because you've been.
Technically, yeah. I'll make a motion to
Oh,
allow
sorry.
this on the
Thank you.
Oh,
agenda
it's the second, next item, sorry.
because it was late.
Sorry.
Did you get
I'll
that,
second that.
Maribel? Okay.
So the first motion is for the gravel and topsoil delivered to Helen Aldridge, and that's by Snow Fountain, right? Because that's what
No.
we just brought this
No.
in.
The first one was for.
The first one was.
Oh, we
Brady
did it backwards. We
Excavating.
should have
did it
done, we did it backwards. We
Oh,
should have approved Snow Fountain first and then approved, but I don't think it's point, it's a moot point, so now we
I think-
approved it.
yeah.
I'll make a motion, we approve Snow Fountain's, bids for the bank run on the topsoil.
Second.
Could I suggest you say something about the attempt to get additional quotes? This was it advertised or
Oh,
other
yeah, this was-
contractors?
Yes.
This was advertised for a while.
approached?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's been sitting out there
Yeah, I
forever.
know. Yeah, Snow Fountain was the only one that really came through with a price, so
Who seconded that?
Johnny did,
I did.
Oh, thank you.
or Supervisor DeVecchio did, I'm sorry.
I know.
It's late, I know.
I know.
Okay.
So we second on the,
Yep, we're good.
the Snow Fountain proposal, right?
Yep.
Right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then we're gonna bring this one up, which we already kind of did.
It's already, we already voted for it.
We
We
already
just put,
approved
it's,
it.
we're
We don't have to do it
good.
again, good, okay,
And the
excellent.
depression is gonna be filled.
The depression is
Got our
over.
antidepressants on the way.
Oh, my God.
The depression is over.
That was good.
Okay, old business, you've all had the packet that we gave you a while back on that thing. Did you all get a chance to read it on the
Yep.
request? My thought is, without going into names or anything like that, I think we should not set this precedent.
I,
100%.
you said no?
I said no.
I totally agree.
Way to go, Mary. All right.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna join you in that thought process.
I gotta tell you, I think that's a bad precedent to
very
set.
bad
And
precedent.
I'll contact the person, and I think that's not a good idea, so.
I agree too. I think the only thing we might want to think about in the future with like supply chain issues, and I'm not making excuses for them, that they should have come in and handled it with the office, but a building permit to build a building these days is, it's difficult to do in a year.
Right.
It is.
So
And
we
somewhere
might
down
want
the
to
line-
consider maybe doing a long, instead of a year, maybe a year,
Extender.
maybe a little
Yeah.
longer. I don't know.
All right, good. Open the meeting to the public. I make a motion, we open the meeting to the public on anything, get it off
Second.
your chest. Keep us here till midnight, please.
I'm second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anything?
Maybe I misunderstood you, Gary Peter, Pleasant Valley. You kind of demean the importance of volunteers, particularly at the mill site. I don't understand why it has to go to hire out for everything. There are volunteers around that do the job. Maybe we didn't do it great. I'm sorry. Maybe they didn't do it great. Let me tell you, I was at the mill site when we redid it. That was so overgrown, you could not go any further without making it look like a disaster. It takes steps. You can't cut bushes back to nothing and expect them to look like something. But I think the volunteers there did a good job. I don't understand hiring if you have volunteers. Honestly, granted it's 40 years ago when I was supervisor, but we use volunteers for everything. Why is the Salt Point Field called Bill Baker Field? Because he volunteered. He raked that field all the time. That's what happened. I could go on and on. I only got 3 hours, so.
Thank you, Mr. Reader. Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Valerie Hovasapian, 39 Robinson Road. I did miss the very beginning of the meeting. I don't know if it was talked about, it may not have been, but are there still plans on the table to pave Ward and Clinton? Not at this time.
I believe our highway superintendent has done some extensive investigation since he made that statement, and he has talked with the residents and continues to talk with them. At this point, I think that's on the back burner, if anything.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Not seeing anyone moving? Oh. Almost a clean getaway.
All right, sorry, I'm back again, because I'm making my notes, because I'm gonna have people asking me. So when you guys did the proposal for the ambulance service, Emily said something about adding the weekend hours to the proposal.
It was in the proposal, but the weekend hours were just incorrect. It
was Okay, 5 to so-
5 instead of 7 to 7.
Okay, and you're also adding the weekdays from 5 to 9, or no?
It was already in there.
It's already in the proposal. All right, I'm just making sure I have it clear. 'Cause
Okay.
you're gonna ask me.
Anyone else? Not seeing anyone or hearing anyone, I move to close the meeting to the public. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much for coming. I move that we adjourn the meeting.
I make a motion that we go into executive session for
105.1F.
105.1F personnel.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. I make a motion that we come out of executive session.
I second the motion.
Just note the time at 9:50 PM.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have
And
Clarification.
we just want to clarify the motion about the HRA accounts that, according to the union contract, we pay a percentage of the deductible towards their health insurance, not particularly an HRA account.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to clarify that.
Motion
So,
to adjourn.
Motion, just second the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.